Alright, let's go ahead and get started. Alright, Shoot Shack Redemption back for another video. It's been a few weeks since I showed everyone the 94-95 season and playoffs. What I will share now is what I mentioned last time, and that is the 95 expansion draft, where the Grizzlies and Raptors are added into the league. And then also I went ahead and uploaded my initial version of the 95-96 season. It's not as complete as other ones I've done by the time I've uploaded, but go ahead and do a run through of that as well. So without further ado, let's get into the scenarios I have uploaded so far. So we go to 2K Share Scenarios, and if you search for yippee-ki-a, which is my online ID, I think if you just put Yippee, that should be good enough. You'll see everything I have. So, as I mentioned, I did the 95-96 season. I've not done all the work on the attributes and tendencies like I've done in previous years before, or previous seasons before I've shared them, but I figured, hey, if people want just the teams and rosters and everything, you can go ahead and start the 95-96 season if you don't care about the total realistic aspect of it. So we've got 95-96, 94-95, 93-94, 92-93. So 4 full scenarios with rosters, players, numbers, jerseys, courts, everything, even rotations, like all that stuff I've done to make it as realistic as possible. You can see the other ones that I still have lingering out there. A couple All-Star games, finals from 93, the 95 playoffs. But what I want to show first is we've got the expansion draft. So I thought it would be neat to kind of do a pause when I got to that part of the off season when the Raptors and Grizzlies are ready to select their players. I'm going to go ahead and load this one and show you all. So I found a site. I don't know how true what this site has, and I can't remember what site it was. So, but it had like the rumored available players for the Raptors and Grizzlies to select. So obviously the players they did draft were available, but there were some confirmed and not so confirmed players that were also available, I guess. And in 95, it's not like the internet knew everything. So I went ahead and made all those players available for these teams. So you'll see some better players than who the Raptors and Grizzlies actually selected. But I think that's kind of cool. If you want to try to make the teams a little better than what they ended up being, why not? One thing I want to point out, I'm kind of sad to say, I didn't notice until I got to this point that I hadn't traded the draft picks completely correctly. If I go to, well, okay, so this is part of the story. So I don't even know if I can see the draft picks then. Maybe, no, I can't go to trade. Okay, well, the Raptors, who are supposed to have the 7th pick, where they get Damon Stoudemire, I think of the 4th pick, or whatever pick they have by default. I think what they do is they put the expansion teams 4th and 5th, but there are a few teams at the top of the draft that are not in the right spot, and by the time I realized it, I got to this point and tried to trade them, and the game crashes. And I believe it's because it's treating the expansion draft as an actual draft in a way. So that's why when I went to the mock draft, it only shows the top 2 picks. I mean, it's the Warriors Nuggets, which are Joe Smith and Antonio McDyess, but yeah, so you can't trade picks at this point. So what I would suggest, if you want it to be totally realistic, you can either draft players out of place based on the teams they're supposed to be in, or once the expansion draft is over, you can go ahead and trade those picks as they should be. that's what I did in mine for the 95-96 season that I uploaded. I went ahead and traded the picks after this expansion draft. But I'll go ahead and go into the expansion draft so you can see the available players. It's kind of neat. This is one of those things like you only get to do every now and then unless you're doing, I mean, historically, that is. So let's just choose player. So this is, if you recall, this is the year Dominique went overseas to play. He came back in 96, 97 to play with the Spurs. But 95, 96, he was in Europe. So I guess because maybe he had a, I don't know if he had a team option or how it worked. That's what I ended up putting, because the players have to have at least an option in order to be in this pool. So for Dominique to be eligible to be selected, I had to give him a team option. So we'll pretend that was really the case. But the list I found said Dominique Wilkins was one of the unprotected players for the Celtics. Let's go ahead and sort by team. Oh, they're already sorted by team. That doesn't make sense. Oh, the sort doesn't work. Cool. All right, well, let's just go through. I wish I could sort by team, because I could show you where there were players that I hadn't created, either because they weren't significant enough or they didn't last long on the team, or whatever it might be. I just added a fake player under contract as someone who could be drafted in the expansion draft. So let's just go through. Ron Harper was, I guess, unprotected. BJ Armstrong, actually, I'd forgotten about this, that he got drafted by the Raptors and then he refused to play for them, and the Raptors then traded him to the Warriors. So, neat little story. According to the list, Dale Ellis was available. So, some of these guys got drafted to the Raptors and Grizzlies, and others didn't. It'd be interesting to know what they were thinking when they decided not to draft certain people. Like Doug Christie wasn't drafted. He ends up on the Raptors later on. But he didn't get drafted because the Grizzlies took Greg Anthony. And my understanding is in an expansion draft, as soon as one of your unprotected players is drafted, you can take the rest of yours off the board. So really there's just one player from each team, most likely. You got Scott, who ended up on the Grizzlies. Oh, Blue Edwards on the Grizzlies. There's Greg Anthony. Oliver Miller and Pinckney were both Raptors. You got 42-year-old Robert Parrish, which nobody took. Willie Anderson was a Raptor. Wilkins was a Grizzly. So all these guys down here. There were a lot of, if I remember correctly, there were a lot of centers drafted and power forwards. I'll look when I go through the 95-96 roster, but some of these people down here are the ones that end up on the team, and then you can see the fake guys I added, just because if there wasn't somebody from the Kings, for example, drafted in the expansion draft that I have on the game, I can't remember who it was from the Kings, but not good enough for me to have created, so just leave Franklin Chandler there, unprotected. So that's kind of neat. I did a run through where I just I don't remember if I was both teams or if I just chose one, but Dominique Wilkins I wouldn't have drafted. He's 36, but hey, to have an 88 overall player as an expansion team, that's pretty cool. Sim it and just kind of see what happens. I have not simmed it before. Here we go. Let's look at the roster now, or I guess, yeah, here we go. So the Raptors did take Dominique. That's neat. Christie. Let's go by position, see if they got a nice team here. So they got two former Lakers, three Scott. Scott's coming from the Pacers here. Christie, Chapman, Anderson, Wilkins and Simmons, Stacey King. They did get Robert Parrish. So they got some championship blood here with the Raptors. 380 overall players, not bad. Let's see what the Grizzlies did. All right, they don't have depth at point guard, Dale Armstrong, but I guess they have a couple guys here that can play some point. Nice shooting guard depth. They got Dale Ellis and Jerome Kersey, along with Blue. Danny Ferry, not sure he's going to be happy being a Grizzly. All right. So they had 480 overall players. That's kind of neat. One thing I also didn't mention is for this, I figured people would probably do this just to be the expansion teams or one of the expansion teams. So I had already deselected all of the other teams here. So if you want to do something different, you'll have to go in and select them all beforehand. But that's it for that. Well, maybe I can show now. Yeah, okay, so now I can show where the issue is. So the fourth pick is supposed to be with Washington, where they get Rasheed Wallace. So I think that's the only difference, is the fourth and seventh are supposed to be flipped. And there might be some others, but if there are, then I'm sure you can figure out how to make it what it's supposed to be. So let's exit out of here. I have to delete that one because now that's 10 slots I have. Let's get rid of that. Make sure it's the right one I'm deleting. All right, and then the actual 95-96 season should be, I think, this one. So this is the one I'm simulating through right now. Let's load this guy. And okay, you can see the Grizzlies here in the calendar. You've got the Sonics with a new logo, the Rockets with a new logo. You've got the Raptors here. The Hawks got their new logo. And when I say logo, I also mean jersey and court to go along with it. So maybe I can show some of those. That's that. It's unfortunate that we're so restricted on the court that you can't give the Rockets their really cool court that they had during this time after they changed their logo and jerseys. So I can show you as close as I got. I think I downloaded somebody's that was pretty good, and then just made a few adjustments. So let's just look at it here. So there it is. If you remember, there's supposed to be like this big, like swirly rocket coming from the bottom of the court. Still looks pretty good. I mean, for what we have available to us. So there's that. Might be cool to see the Sonics, although that one's on the game, so nothing too special. All right, let's just look at some rosters now, because it's probably what people are most interested in. The Sixers changed a little bit. You can see the 95 rookie class on the teams now. You got Stackhouse, who was the third pick there. You got Scott Skiles coming over. I think he retired mid-season, if I remember correctly. The Bucks, I don't think changed all that much. Terry Cummings is there. Sean Respert's a rookie for them. The Bulls have almost a full team here. Only one fake player. That's partly because this 95-96 Bulls team is on the game. And then once you add created Jason Caffey, who was a rookie, the 20th pick, and Randy Brown, who came over from the Kings, that's a pretty full team. I will say I have tried my hardest to get Michael Jordan back to a 99 overall because he should be a 95-96. I gave him more badges, so he's up to 50 badges now. I'm not sure what I'm going to have to do. He already shoots and scores way more than he actually did in 95-96, so it'll be a fun little challenge for me. But I want him to be 99 for sure. On the Cavs, you got a few people that are probably a little too good here. Tyron Hill, I don't think even started this year for them. So that's not so good. Mark Price, you see, is gone now. You've got Bob Sura as a rookie. Celtics are pretty much the same. Yeah, Eric Williams is their rookie. Yeah, not much change there. The Clippers are still pretty bad. Rodney went up and is now 80 plus overall. That's probably about as good as he should get. You've got Brett Barry's down here as a rookie. He was at 15th pick. But yeah, not many changes there. The Hawks, let's see if you can see there. There's their cool jerseys from this year. You got Steve Smith on the team from the trade the year before. Alan Henderson's a rookie. Got the Heat. Alonzo Mourning is now on the Miami Heat. And you'll see Glenn Rice on the Hornets right here. This was kind of crazy to me. I think it's because Muggsy Bogues was hurt. He played very few games and didn't start any of them. So their starting lineup, they had Gill, Rice, and Burrell starting together. So I don't know if Kendall Gill was a better ball handler than I give him credit for, but it's very odd for me to realize that was the case. Got Zedek down here as a rookie. Was Gill already? No. So Gill came back to the Hornets after a couple years in Seattle. The Jazz, this is this the year before they changed their logo and jerseys? I think so. Still got pretty much the same team. Ostertag's down here as a rookie. We've got the Kings, Tyus Edney as a rookie. I don't think any of these guys were new. Or Sarunas, I don't think was on the Kings, no. He was on the Sonics before. The Knicks are pretty similar. Doug Christie's a little too good, it seems. This is before he's even really played much. I don't think he's been in the rotation yet. Well, not for the Knicks. I guess he was for the Lakers. He's soon to be a little better as a Raptor. Let's see for the Lakers. Alright, so similar to what I did with Michael Jordan in the 94-95 file, I've got Magic on the Lakers, out for personal reasons. This is the season he unretires and plays for, I don't know, 30-some games. So I have it timed to where he can come back around the time he's supposed to be playing again. Thought that'd be easier than trying to remember to sign him every time I simulate through. So Magic Johnson is a power forward. Good stuff. I'm kind of curious how I'll do. I'll probably play a game with this team to see what it's like. We got the Magic. Penny keeps getting better. Darrell Armstrong looks a little too good for not playing yet. John Concax over here is the backup for Shaq. Vaughn was a rookie, yep, first rounder. He didn't last long. Mavericks have a couple centers as rookies. You got Lauren Meyer and Cherokee Parks, both first rounders, 24th and 12th. And yet neither of them started because they still had Lorenzo Williams. Still got the 3Js going on here. McLeod is like a sixth man. We've got the Nets. Thanks, Alfredo. I really enjoy doing it, and I'm glad others enjoy it as well. For the Ed O'Bannon, anyone who was keeping up with the NBA around this time probably remembers that Ed O'Bannon was supposed to be a big deal. He's a top 10 pick, and now he's more known for the lawsuits and all that stuff with the NCAA trying to get the rights to get paid for being in college and stuff like that. And good for them. It's finally going that way. We've got the Nuggets. This is a cool team. As I simulate through and try to figure out how to fix attributes and tendencies and stuff, I always pick a few games to play. And yesterday I played a game. Who was I? I was the Trailblazers, and I played against the Nuggets, and I ended up losing. and I don't lose that often when I play these games. I end up winning usually by 20 plus, and I was winning by like 13, and Dale Ellis ended up hitting 6 3-pointers in the fourth quarter, and 4 of those were in like a 2-minute span. He had 9 3-pointers for the game, and I lost by like 6 or something like that. So that's okay to lose every now and then. I want it to be competitive. It's kind of less fun if you're just always creaming people. But anyway, this team's kind of cool because you've got Dikembe before he goes to Atlanta. I don't know how much longer Abdul Rauf's around before he goes to Sacramento. But you've got McDyess as a rookie. So seeing McDyess play with Mutombo is kind of neat. You've got an offensive power and a defensive great. So, and then you've got some cool depth too with Dale and LaFonso Ellis. J. Rose is coming off the bench. You've still got Stith and Williams from previous years, which is kind of a neat team. Pacers are pretty much the same. I think so. Eddie Johnson's joined the team, and Ricky Pierce joined the team. And Travis Best was their draft pick. Oh, well, I guess Fred Hoiberg was too. So Pistons, Don Reed as I believe, almost the last pick in the draft. He actually was starting most games for the Pistons as a rookie. So that's kind of crazy when you think about they drafted Theo Ratliff in the first round and the great career he had. You got Don Reed as a starter. Still got a nice trio. You've got Dumars, Houston, and Hill going for another year. Thorpe is on the Pistons now. Here's the Rockets. We already showed their court. You can see their jerseys as well. Pretty cool. I like the very colorful logos and jerseys and courts in the late 90s was always neat to me. I don't know if that's just because it's when I was a kid and really loved it, but just my opinion. So really the same team. You've got Clyde still. Jaren Jackson joined. Bryant came over. I think maybe he was in the Drexler trade. I don't remember. Spurs, mostly the same. I didn't even stop on the Bulls. So this was the year that the Bulls traded Will Perdue to the Spurs for Dennis Rodman, as if that sounds any sort of fair. And Will Perdue started with David Robinson most of the year, so interesting things I learn as I do this. I would not have expected a Will Perdue pretty much playing power forward, I guess, with David Robinson. All right, we've got the Suns, mostly the same team as well. Hot Rod Williams joined. They already have seems like a lot of big guys with Manning, Green, and Tisdale, but Hot Rod as well. We've got Michael Finley, who was somebody, I think if I wouldn't have, if you were to simulate the 95 draft, Finley would have been a top 10 pick every time. I kept trying to make him worse at things without ruining his potential because he ends up being a great player, but it's hard to mess with it so that people actually go where they really went without making them too bad. So 74 is not bad as a rookie though. Oh, Sonics. So you already saw, I guess we can show their cool jerseys as well, but those are on the game, so I guess most jerseys are on the game, but I'm saying this 95-96 Sonics team is actually on the game. It'd be funny to go back and see how close the overalls are from what they are after simulating through to a fourth season versus what they are on the actual game. I would imagine Hersey Hawkins is not an 86 overall, but maybe I'll look that up just for fun. Ford is a rookie, Eric Snow is a rookie. Pretty neat team. So they only have 2 fake guys here. So pretty full roster. Timberwolves. I remember in my last video when I commented on Garnett being a small forward, I was like, how did they start all these guys together? The answer is kind of. With the rotation I put in, I do not have Garnett starting. He started about half the games in the season. Sam Mitchell was starting a lot of the games as well, so it's a hard thing to decide when I'm doing the rotations for a full season based on the changes that teams do throughout the season. So Hornets as a rookie unless you change it. We've got the Trailblazers, who I was just saying I was yesterday. I did really good with Rod Strickland, but some of these other guys, it's harder to score with Harvey Grant. Aaron McKee, I think I shot way too many threes with, and he didn't make any of them. But it's a pretty fun team. You got Arvidas finally on the Blazers. So he had those, when I first did the 92-93 season, he had the 3 years of overseas play, that little tag that they have on people, and then he went down to 2 and then 1. And now here he is as a 31-year-old rookie. So kind of neat. Warriors, so you see Weber is now gone, and you have BJ on the team, which also was news to me that the Warriors started BJ Armstrong. I guess that's because they knew they were going to trade Tim Hardaway at some point. I don't know the story behind that, but they've got a pretty loaded team still. Almost every year throughout this, from 92 now to 95, 96, when they're healthy, they have a really, really solid team. But the problem was they had a lot of people miss a lot of games, and that just kind of ruined their seasons. You got the number 1 pick here with Joe Smith. You still got Danielle Marshall. Jeez, it's a lot of people, 78 or better. Bullets. You got Mark Price here with his brother somewhere down here, yeah. And then Rashid as a rookie. Who else? McIlvain, I think, is a rookie. Or did he get drafted? No, he was 94, I think, yeah. It's hard to remember, like, when I look at this and see 2022, like, okay, which year was that for mine? That was 94. I made Weber a little worse. I think when I started this, he might have been like a 93. It's like, that's a little too good. What happened was when he was on the Warriors, I had him at center, and he was probably around an 89 or 88. But then almost everybody, if you change them from center to power forward, they go up several overall. So that's what happened with him, but now I got him back to a more realistic overall. All right, and here are those awesome expansion teams with with their real pick. So you've got Alvin Robertson, overall wise, is the best on the Raptors. You got Oliver Miller. You got their rookie pick, Damon Stoudemire. Carlos Rogers from the Warriors. Tracy Murray is one of the few people I created just for this season. And when I do that, when I create somebody like for this 95-96 season, having Tracy Murray on the Raptors, what I do is I go back and add him to the appropriate teams in my other files as well. So if you see like more recent updates to the 92, 93, 94 seasons, it's because I've added in these people that I created later on. So Tracy Murray you'll find on the Rockets and maybe one of the years on the Blazers. I can't remember what teams he played for which year, but anyway, he's added. Oh, I wish I could remember who else I added. I know I added Chris Childs, who is on the Nets, because he played big minutes for them, and I think he was on the Nets maybe the year before this as well, so I went ahead and added him. And then soon he'll be on the Knicks and playing big minutes for them. So anyway, back to the Raptors. Where was I? Tracy Murray, we've got Massenberg from the Clippers, Willie, Sally, Pinckney, Earl. So just not a great team, but one good building block in Damon Stoudemire. I'd say if Oliver Miller could have kept his weight under control, I mean, he's only 25 here, and he was good when he was able to play. And then for the Grizz, Byron Scott is their best from an overall standpoint. You got Blue and Greg Anthony, so a nice veteran trio there to go along with the rookie big man, Big Country, Bryant Reeves. I think what happened was these two guys, I think Benjamin started most of the first part of the season, and then they ended up starting Reeves. So they kind of split minutes throughout the year. Avent Wilkins, Doug Edwards from the Hawks, Gaddison, and Chris King, someone I created just for this as well. So the Raptors and Raptors and Grizzlies both got somebody created just so that they could have additional people. So they would have only had, I guess, 9 people if I didn't create Murray and King. So that's what I did. King started for the Grizzlies, so I thought he was maybe kind of important. So in the previous, I know he played overseas a couple years before this, but I think in the 92-93 roster, I added him to the Sonics, because that's the team he was on, I believe. So that's it. I guess if you want to see the jerseys here, kind of neat to see those bad boys. It's neat seeing Ja Morant and company wearing those last season as well. You got the Raptors in theirs. I don't think, is there anybody else that I didn't already show that have new threads? Kind of neat seeing them in this view. Those Hawks are just killer. Okay, I guess that's it. Alright, so I don't really know what's next. I'm still simulating through the 95-96 several times, so I'll keep updating attributes and tendencies to try to make it real, because there's still some teams doing some crazy good things that they shouldn't be doing, or really bad things that they should be better. I don't know how much work I will do on the 96 draft class. I would imagine there's somebody out there who's already done great work on this class because it's so iconic. And it might be this one that I've loaded. I haven't really spent much time looking at it. I just looked for a class that had a lot of people that weren't already on the game, like Tony Delk and Jeff McInnes. So this one might be good to go. I'll just have to look at it. Peja needs some overseas years, I know that much, because he did not come over immediately. But it's a really cool class, so I don't know how much time I'll spend on it, but whenever I have my next thing, I will let you know. As always, thanks for the time. Thanks for the likes. If you have any questions or input on what can be better with this, feel free to shoot me a comment. Until next time, Shoe Shack Redemption is out. Thanks, everyone.